And that's how a dinner roll should look like. Make sure to subscribe if you want more recipes like this. I have never been so happy with the outcome of a recipe like this dinner roll recipe. So today I'm going to show you how to make the softest dinner rolls by using a Japanese cooking technique called Tanzhong. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, so please forgive me. Let me tell you what the Tanzhong technique is. If you don't want to know the technique, then skip straight to the recipe. Just look out for the timestamps below.
Tanzhong or Tanhzhong is a method used in bread making that originated in Japan. However, it was popularized in the 1990s by a Chinese woman called Yvonne Chen, who wrote a book called The 65-Degree Bread Doctor. Tanhzhong, also known as a wateroo, is a Japanese technique that involves cooking a mixture of flour and water to create a slurry that is later added to the bread dough. Typically, it's a mixture of 1 part flour and 5 part liquid. See, this technique pre-gelatinizes the starch in the flour, meaning it can absorb more water. Having retained more water during baking, bread rolls will rise higher, be more fluffier and softer, and stay fresher for longer. Now let's get back to the recipe. First, get all your ingredients ready, the list for which is down in the description.
So let's start by making the Tanzhong.
Put a pot on, turn the heat to medium, add your water followed by adding your flour. Keep mixing it to get rid of the lumps and turning it into a slurry. Once it turns into a thick glue-like consistency, that's it ready. We'll be putting it in a sealed container and letting it come to room temperature. This is a very important step. Make sure not to use a hot Tanzhong mix.
Once the mix comes to room temperature, it's time to start making the milk buns.
First, we'll need to activate and hydrate the yeast in warm milk and sugar. See, if the milk is too hot, it will kill off the yeast and the buns won't rise. If you want to be precise and sure, make sure to heat it up between 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees centigrade. Next, add your sugar, give it a mix, then add your yeast and give it a mix and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes.
So while the yeast is activating, we're going to mix the rest of the dry ingredients.
First, add your flour, sugar and salt and give it a mix. See, mixing all your dry ingredients together will help it evenly disperse it in the mix, giving you better, even results in baking.
See, once the yeast is hydrated and activated, we're going to add it to the flour mix with the rest of the ingredients.
Break and mix your eggs in the same jug as the yeast mix. See, this will not only help you use less dishes, but it will also incorporate the bits of yeast that's left over in the jug. Add the cool Tanzhong mix to the flour. Give it a light mix, followed by the beaten egg. After adding the eggs, give it a light mix.
Next, add your butter.
See, this bread mix is a high hydration mix, so it's going to be sticky. You need to get your hands involved and start kneading. Dust a little bit of flour on the surface and keep kneading for 5 to 10 minutes. You will definitely need a dough scraper to help you handle it better. After 10 minutes of kneading and stretching out the gluten, use the dough scraper and shape it into a ball. When you poke it, it should be soft and bounce back. Put it into a bowl, cover it and let it rest until it doubles in size. See, this should take 1 to 2 hours depending how warm it's in your kitchen. Once you see it's double in size, get your baking tray and brush it with some melted butter. See, this will not only prevent it from sticking, but will also add some buttery goodness to your rolls.
Now for the most satisfying moment of knocking back the air and shaping it into dinner rolls.
See, during the first rising of your dough, the yeast creates little bubbles of carbon dioxide, which inflates the dough. It's very difficult to shape the dough when it's like this, so it needs to be knocked back or punched down. This makes the dough easy to shape and gives it a much more uniform texture to the dough. See, the dough at this point will be very sticky, so don't be afraid to dust some flour on your hands and on the work surface. So now you'll be pulling and slapping the dough to stretch out that gluten. If you need to, dust a little bit of more flour so it does not stick to your hands and start portioning it out. See, I'm portioning it into 80-gram balls, but you can make it larger or smaller depending on your preference. See, when placing it in your tray, make sure to leave some space between the rolls because they are going to expand to double or triple the size. As you can see, the dough is going to be really soft and springy. Once all the rolls are in the tray, we'll be brushing it with butter. This will prevent the top layer from drying out during its second proof. Like me, you can use some of the dough to make some nice burger buns. See, for this, we'll be shaping the rolls the same way. We'll be pressing it on top to flatten it so it turns into a much wider bun. Next, we'll be using a damp wet cloth to cover it during its second proof so it doesn't dry out. After an hour and a half or so, have a peek and it should be double in size. See, at this point, you'll be turning your oven to 200 degrees to heat it up. Then you'll be cracking, whisking and egg washing the dough. See, that egg wash is going to give it that nice shiny golden look. If you like this video and want to know when the next videos are coming up, make sure to subscribe, like and turn on your notifications.
Now that it's egg washed, it's finally time for it to go in the oven.
You'll be baking it in the oven for 15 to 17 minutes or until it's golden brown.
So we are going to show this bread some love and brush it with some butter.
See, I don't know about you, but I'll be showing my dinner rolls a whole lot of love by brushing it with a lot of butter. Make sure to brush it in between the dinner rolls so that butter just soaks in.
We are going to let this dinner rolls rest for 5 minutes.
And there you have it, your ultra soft dinner rolls are ready. See, sometimes I make a big batch and freeze them so they are ready whenever I want them. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next week.